A story that really highlights someone who falls into this very competitive frame is a client I coached a few years ago. Okay, this was one-on-one coaching, and he jumps on, this is online, on Skype, and he starts telling me, hey, I've had this problem my entire life. Every time I get into a relationship, it starts off well. Everyone knows the honeymoon phase. And then after a while, I start getting really paranoid, very, you could say, overbearing, even very possessive, and all my relationships tend to end, or guess what? That very thing he feared would happen, happened. Okay, he'd get cheated on, he'd be betrayed, and he knew it was bad. He's like, I want to get out of this, but he couldn't stop his mind from just looping and looping and looping. Okay, to the point where, this is how extreme it can get, by the way. He was in a long-distance relationship, and he was dating someone in another city. And he would see this person maybe once, twice a month. And he told me on one of the calls, he's like, okay, I got to tell you about my current situation. I'm dating this person, and it's going well. And, I know it's going well because, I'm always checking in with that person, right? So every single day they're texting. Every single day it's, hey, where are you tonight? Every single day, oh, you're going out with some friends? What friends? And I look them up on Facebook to be sure, I'll find their Instagrams, like just over the top paranoid. And it got to a point where he's like, I'm going to see this person next week. And there's one thing that I have there that I know it's going to really let me know for sure whether this person cheated or not. At this person's place, there is a box of condoms. We've used a few. There's some left. I believe there are 7 left. I'm like, okay. You counted them, okay. So I will know when I see this person again, if there's not 7 condoms left, that something happened. I will also see, hey, if it's a new box and there are more than 7, something will happen. And check this out, Julian. I'm a smart guy. Even if there are 7 left, I wrote down the serial number of every single condom, so I will know if any were replaced. That's how extreme this can get, by the way. Now, for this client, though, massive respect, because at least he was aware of it, right? Awareness is always step 1. He was aware of it, but he just couldn't help it. When that seeps into a relationship, it'll tend to just amplify. It kind of gets this life of its own, and in the end, you tend to manifest that very thing that you fear, or the person you're seeing is just like, you know what? Screw this. Where's the trust? If there's no trust, and you don't trust me at all, done. It's really, really toxic. I also know another person where whenever this person would travel, his partner would make him play World of Warcraft. This is a true story. So everyone might go out to dinner, would go out at night, but he would have to stay there in the hotel room. This is not a close friend of mine, just an acquaintance. Playing World of Warcraft so that his partner knew for sure that nothing was happening. Because it wasn't enough to just be like, hey, so here I am, just texting. They were playing World of Warcraft together. And if anything was going on, he would not be able to focus and play correctly, and his partner would know something is up. Crazy, no? Right? A lot of people too, they have to track their phones. They might even like, okay, give me the password of your phone, the password of your email, and they're monitoring everything. It is terrible. And what you have to ask yourself, if that's you, okay, and this is the first thing that I asked him is it worth it? Is that what you got into a relationship for? Right? This prison of just paranoia, always worried, what if? Always in this like over-the-top defense protection mode. Is that a relationship? Is that the goal? And he asked me, he's like, but Julian, how do you trust? Right? How do you? And what it really comes down to, this is the foundation, and we're going to go a lot deeper, is number one, realizing that that strategy is flawed, right? Because he would also go down the online vortex of all the reasons you should not trust your partner and why your partner will listen to their DNA above all else, and like total just toxic information reinforcing this competitive state, right? So I told him the strategy is flawed because guess what? You've been doing this for a long time. You've been doing this for your entire life. Has it worked? No. You probably got cheated on more than the average person because of this. So realizing the strategy is flawed will take away a bit of that power. And number two, it's realizing that that strategy is giving you the exact thing you're trying to avoid. Right? You're trying to cover your bases. Oh, my partner, what about my partner? Where are they? In order to feel at ease, safe, and secure. But by doing so, you never actually feel safe and secure. Okay? And if something were to happen, say your partner were to cheat, well, guess what? You have a choice there. Number one is, say it happens, you can stress and obsess over it and actually make it happen a lot. Say sooner, or actually manifest it. So you're not enjoying the entire relationship and then it still happens. Or you can just choose, you know what, I'm going to trust. And if it happens, that'll suck. But at least my time leading up to it will be enjoyable. Funny enough, if you zoom out, it's also an approach that we all take with life here, right? Do any of you go about your days obsessing over all the different ways you could die? No. Yes or no? What kind of life is that, right? Like, technically, if you think about it, though, every single second we are beating the odds. Every single second. Like, right now, any one of us could have a brain aneurysm and die. In this moment, this second. Maybe even me. Knock on wood. Like, saying this is like, right? You know, knock on wood. But technically, that could happen. Which is crazy, right? Technically, you could walk outside, bang, get hit by a car. Right? You could get on one of those little scooter bird things and fall. There are so many things that could happen. Right? You know, something could fall from the sky and you're dead. Who knows? Some crazy fluke situation. Knowing that, though, are you going to live your life always just paranoid? Like every time it's like, I'm about to cross the street and just over the top, or always looking up at the sky, something falling, is something falling? No, that's no way. Right? And then we all really make the choice here, because we do live with this constant threat, which is life, which is existence. We all make the choice to be like, you know what? I'm not going to let that put me in that state of fear of competitiveness. We all just accept it. Hey, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen, but I'm going to enjoy my experience until then. Same approach in a relationship. Hey, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen, but I'm going to enjoy that relationship until then. Now, does that mean turn a blind eye to obvious signs? No. Does it mean be gullible? No. Does it mean be naive? No. You can still be aware of that and take, you could say, protective measures out of love versus out of fear and paranoia. The same here, right? Like, if you're crossing the street, you're not going to be like, well, you know what? It could happen, and just never looking and just crossing whenever. No. You're still aware, but you're not overly paranoid. You don't let it poison your experience being here alive. And unfortunately, that's what happens in those relationships. It just poisons it. And people get so paranoid. And trust me, if you look for reasons to be paranoid, you will find 1,000,001 reasons to be paranoid. Trust me, if you want to find proof that every relationship is just destined to fail and you could never ever trust your partner, you're going to find a lot of proof. You will. On the flip side, if you want to find proof that, hey, actually, a lot of relationships are not destined for that, you can trust your partner. You will also find proof of that. Depends where your focus is. Okay? Now, for someone who's really in that paranoid state, and this is another thing that I told this client, is cut off any information that is reinforcing that. There's a certain feedback loop. Right? Oh, I'm paranoid. Let me find the tells. Oh, more reasons to be paranoid. Cut that. Cut off all information, all content that reinforces it, and actually shift your focus towards content and information that reinforces that you can trust others, that you can trust your partner, that you can trust the world. Okay? This can be very tough. You're like, oh, but just breaking that feedback loop, very, very powerful. You can also reflect on this perspective. What's your relationship like with the world? What comes up thinking about that? What's your relationship like with life? And you can go subtle, of course. For some people, it's life's life, and it's me versus, and there's nothing you can really do about it. I'm a little victim. Right? There's the competitive state of being a victim. There's the competitive state of apathy, where it's like, life's not on my side, but what's the point? There's the competitive state of fear. Me versus life, must protect myself, paranoid. And then there's even the competitive state where it sparks up some anger and motivation. You're like, it's me versus life, but I'm going to do something about it. I won't let it bog me down. I won't let it get me. But all of that is still a competitive state, right? What's your relationship like with other people? Can you allow yourself to be seen? Can you open yourself up to life, open yourself up to the world? Oh, but what if then that exposes all my weaknesses? Well, hey, I'm not safe. You're not safe right now, all paranoid, all closed off. You're literally self-generating that feeling of not being safe. You get that, right? By always protect. You're literally giving yourself that outcome you're trying to avoid. Okay, so those are some of the surface things to really reflect on. But then, it's really introspecting and visiting your past. When did this come about? When did you stop trusting the world? When did you stop trusting life? When did you stop trusting other people? What are some of those experiences? And for him, going back to his childhood, there was a lot of trauma there. A lot of trauma that he believed, that made him believe at a young age that people were not to be trusted. That you had to protect yourself. You had to look for those signs. You had to be paranoid. That it's not okay to be alive and just let someone in. Let someone truly see you. And once we started working on that, things started shifting. Okay? And this is so common. There's another acquaintance like, my partner, they're out and they're doing like some kind of photo shoot and I don't know, just always paranoid. I'm like, whoa. Right? This actually also does play into self-worth and ceilings of success, where if you start entering a friendship or relationship with someone you believe is outside your league, that'll amplify a lot of those fears. Because you're like, they're going to eventually realize that I'm down here and they're up here, that we're not meant to connect and click and mesh. And until you let go of that, it'll be very difficult as well. Another exercise / challenge you can do on a daily basis is proactively look for goodness. Proactively look for good in the world, good in people. You can do what I call a good deeds challenge. Right? Every single day, look for 3 good deeds that you saw. 3 acts of kindness, random acts of kindness you saw other people do. Because if you're in that state, what happens, it hijacks your focus, your RAS. And you're literally always looking for threat, reason to not trust. The world is bad. The world is out to get me. So what you're doing here with the good deeds is you're taking your focus and saying, nope, away from that, onto the good. And it might be very hard to find at first. You might also have to lower the bar. Oh, hey, someone held the door open there. You can also find a lot of good deeds online. And then, what about doing 3 good deeds every single day yourself? What are 3 good deeds you saw? What are 3 good deeds you did? Because here's the other really crazy one. The more you start acting very contracted, protective, paranoid, the more you unconsciously start assuming that everyone else is like you. Okay? The more you start actually doing good deeds and goodness, you're like, look, it's all good. The more you start assuming, oh, other people are like me. They're also doing good deeds. There's still good out there. And ultimately, it's a choice, right? You choose to believe in goodness. Do you choose to believe in hope? Do you choose to trust? And it can be hard. It can be difficult. But ultimately, one will lead you down a very dark road, really slowly just poisons existence and your relationships, and the other won't. Trust me. Say it doesn't even go according to plan, that relationship. That sting of it not working is way less worse than the whole subtle just poisoning of it leading up to it if you are paranoid. Now, funny enough, by taking on those frames, by choosing to trust, by also allowing yourself to be seen, you feel more comfortable within yourself. By letting go of the past, by letting go of ceilings of success, you really come into your own. And guess what? That handles a lot of the things that cause relationships to end and your partner to cheat to begin with. right? Like you can be aware, like, oh, what are some tips to get my partner attracted? I think I should do some validation stuff. That's the only way they'll stay is the validation. That's terrible, right? That's one approach. The other one is, hey, I'm going to be me, tap into my own, here's what's up, and then that just all happens naturally and on both sides. And when it comes to commitment too, this is huge, realize that there is no such thing as non-commitment. You cannot not commit. What does that mean? People are like, well, I'm kind of scared to commit to a relationship, to a partner, to a friendship. Hey, if you don't, you know what you're committing to? Nothingness. I'm scared to commit to a certain purpose. Well, if you're committing right now to no purpose then, right? There is no non-commitment. Well, I'm kind of scared to commit to trusting. Well, you're committing to not trusting. We think we can avoid that. No, you're committing regardless. Better to be proactive and shift it towards something that is beneficial and that gives you an amazing, deep, fulfilling experience being here alive. Okay? And in relationships too, not all of them last forever. Some might end. Doesn't mean that just because the ending is there, that the whole relationship leading up to that is bad too. You can also audit, if you look back at your past relationships, do you look back with fondness? And like, you know what? Wasn't meant to be, but that was still a great experience. Or do you look back all bitter? Something to audit. Someone who really doesn't trust, bitter. Okay, key saying, get better, not bitter. Most people, it's like every time it's like they get more and more bitter and bitter and bitter and bitter, and they turn into like this really wretched creature. Right? To put it lightly. So be aware of that. Ask yourself, it's easy to see in others, what's my version of that? It might be very subtle too. You might actually have, for the most part, a very healthy relationship, a very trusting relationship, but there might still be small pockets of this. Right? You can take the extreme example of like the condom serial number, but also turn the mirror around and be like, what's my version of that? What are some aspects where I'm like, maybe not. Right? And ultimately too, a relationship you want to be in, a healthy one, is one where you trust and you truly let someone see everything that is you. The more you hide, guess what? The more unconsciously you're going to start assuming the other person's hiding from you. So similar to the good deeds, it also means going first. Right? There's a book you can read called Radical Honesty by Brad Blanton. This is a very extreme book. I don't agree with everything, but it's a very interesting perspective. And what he says is, and I'm kind of paraphrasing here. I've heard this, not confirmed, so don't take my word, but as a thought experiment, it's an interesting exercise. On some of his events or retreats, you would say you sign up. You'd have to sit down. The whole idea is just be honest about everything all the time. So the whole idea is you'd sit down and you'd have the person go over and tell the group their entire life story. Not the story that you tell your friends, and then you can kind of think of the different stories that you say, right? You have this life story of who you are and what you did in your past that you tell your friends. You have this life story that you tell your family. You have this life story that you tell coworkers. There's this life story that you tell your partner, et cetera, right? All these different versions of the truth, but then there's the one life story that only you know. That's the challenge there, is you sit down and, hey, they pull out a camera, talk to the camera, tell that authentic life story. From the beginning, no lies. Don't try to impress anyone, don't even try to impress yourself, put it all out there. And then they give you the recording and they tell you to send it to your parents, your friends, your partner, everyone you know. Now notice the cringe. What's the signal there? You're probably hiding a lot. Now again, I like this idea. Okay, do I agree with all this? Not necessarily. Okay, but it is very interesting to just kind of show you like, where is that resistance? Where's those pockets of like, no one can ever see this? Right? He also says when you enter a relationship to sit down with your partner and talk about as honestly as possible and as detailed as possible all of your past experiences, all of your past sexual experiences, everything. Put it all out on the table. That creates cringe. That's interesting. Why am I hiding that? Even on a more macro level, you can ask yourself, when it comes to your partner or a potential partner or someone you might want to enter a relationship with, are there parts of you that there is a little bit of shame and resistance around them finding out about it, right? Like, take you at your most, you could say, kind of raw, authentic, even a bit vulnerable, right? Say you go out tonight and you kind of party it up. And tomorrow you wake up, wherever you live, and you're a bit tired, a bit even hungover, right? Say someone's like, drink, and you're just like, ugh, like hungover. You smell terribly. You didn't clean, nothing, you're there. Say that ideal partner just walks in. Would there be any cringe? Would there any part of you that's like, don't see me like this? If so, you're putting that wall. Now, does that mean be like that all the time? No. Okay, these are just interesting perspectives to bring this up. The same with right now in this moment, would you feel comfortable if your ideal partner saw your internet history, your browser, what you're into, what you read, what you watch? Would you feel comfortable if that partner met your friends? Would you be like, oh, then they'll see my friends aren't as cool as I kind of put it out to be? What about your family? What about your past? Talking to childhood friends, learning everything about you. Right? All this really shines a light on those things that you just kind of hide inside. This will also cause not only that paranoia as we talked about, but a lot of self-sabotage. This is rampant, by the way, where you might have amazing initial interactions with people. Again, friendships, relationships, networking, you name it. Amazing initial, but then after a certain point, you leave, you self-sabotage, you bounce. Why? Because there's that fear that, hey, if I spend more time with this person, they're going to start seeing past this carefully crafted front. They're going to see the real me. They're going to get to know the real me. And they might see that I'm not as I presented myself to be. And that, too, is very terrible. And you can audit how much of this front there is by how much effort and how drained you feel when talking to people. How much effort or drained you feel even in a relationship. And once more, it's like, that's not the goal, right? It's not this prison of paranoia where you're walking around on eggshells, like always drained. Like, what if my partner finds out all this stuff about me? A relationship is here. This is me. And you have to also trust that people will be okay with that. By you also going first, this is me, this is what's up, it gives your partner permission to do that as well. And then, it's like this personal sanctuary. Right? That's a serious relationship. It's like you're a unit. That's also a serious friendship. Very few people have that ride or die type of friends in their lives. Right? We're all more connected than ever with social media, but we're also more isolated than ever. Very few people have someone who they can confide in, who you can truly talk to and open up about what's going on. If something doesn't go your way in life, something that might even be very personal, even a little bit embarrassing, most people are like, oh, I can't tell that to my social circle, can't tell that to my work friends, because then they'll think this of me, and they have no one to talk to. Right? That's crazy. That's what forms a deep friendship. No fronts. That's what forms a deep relationship. And no matter who you are, your past, what you're into, someone out there will like it and love it and be okay with it. And if you haven't met someone who likes it and loves it yet, it's because you haven't met enough people. Meet more people, right? There's the cheesy self-help saying, like, find your tribe. Your tribe's out there. It actually is. And I know I said we're more connected yet more isolated, but you can actually use the internet, social media, even Facebook groups to find that tribe. Just think of everyone here, all of us here listening to me, thinking about these ideas, we're kind of a weird tribe by mainstream standards, right? We kind of are. But we're also a pretty big tribe. What's your own personal tribe? And it also comes down to you just getting clear on who you are. This also means being clear in your intention. What you see is what you get. It means managing expectations. And then it's also getting rid of the whole people pleaser approach, because that too. People try to enter different friendships or relationships trying to people please. They put on the front, and say it even goes well. Say you actually get into a relationship with this front. That makes it always worse. Because now you have to keep maintaining that. And at some point, if you're like, I'm actually not this. Right? So no people pleaser. The same with how people try to go about socializing. They try to please and get as much validation and approval as possible. That's not it. What's true socializing? Getting in touch with who you authentically are, putting it out there in a relatable way so it's a win-win, but then it's finding that tribe. It's sorting through, seeing who you're meant to be with, seeing who you're not, seeing where there's chemistry, seeing where there isn't, not getting everyone to like you, finding the people you're truly, truly meant to connect with. And a deep relationship like that will beat any kind of superficial relationship. Same with friendships. You could have a million superficial friends or one or two really deep ones. Those are the ones that will bring the most value and joy to your life. And the more superficial, the more the front, the more you also feel alone. Right? It's crazy too how I've experienced this in the past. You might even be talking to people. You have this group of friends and everyone's kind of laughing, and you're there in person physically, yet it kind of feels like there's this invisible glass wall between you and them. Like you're operating at a slightly different frequency. That's not good. How do you solve this? What we talked about here, and then of course, letting go. You got to identify, when did this glass wall first come about? When did you first started, defending yourself from the world, not trusting the world? What about that front, all those defense mechanisms? Can you drop it? And trust me, you'll go through life much more relaxed, much more at ease. And that's also true legacy, right? Letting people truly see you, truly get to know you, not the front, who you really are. You can ask yourself, how many people actually got to see, experience, and know me? Remember that little life story that only you know inside? Who else got to see a part of that? Do the people in your life know a part of that? Do they experience a part of that? If not, are you making any kind of authentic impact on people, on the world? Probably not. So get to it. Choose to trust. And learn to let go. Little rant on that. Hope you enjoy.
Like, this program is such a game changer. The way everything's structured and the material, it's been already, even for me, I'm noticing a crazy change in the way that my whole life's like playing out.
What you put together is just incredible. There's nothing like that.
I've just jumped like a million levels. It's just been a complete 180 for my experience of existing. That's awesome.
It's just been so huge in terms of so many of the things I'm finally understanding and realizing, and epiphanies I'm having.
What you do is a huge inspiration to me, and I think it's one of the most beautiful things you can give to another human in this entire world.
You saved my fucking life, man. I'm telling you, this is real, man.
Sometimes all it takes is just one person who believes in you. Find people who are where you are in life and model them, work with them. I would not be here if I didn't have people who held me accountable.
Wow.
I just felt a click and things are changing.
This program was just top notch.
Seriously, like, this is a masterpiece. This is perfect.
Everything, the way it's set up, the live calls, like all the support from the coaches is incredible.
It's been nuts.
I just had my tears of joy.
This was the best decisions I ever made.
Thank you for creating something wonderful like this.
This program was phenomenal.
This program was amazing.
This program has definitely changed my life.
I know for a fact I'm in the right place.
This is exactly what I was expecting from the program.
It's been spectacular.
I feel really lucky to have found you.
Thank you so much, Julien. It's worth every dollar.